With just 4 days until a killer is set to be executed here in Arizona.
The clock strikes midnight. A man eats his last meal, speaks his final words, and takes his terminal walk down the cold corridor toward oblivion. This is the raw and unflinching story of the 41 condemned souls who met their end in Arizona's death chamber. Donald Eugene Harding. Executed April 6, 1992, gas chamber.
And happening today, an Arizona death row inmate is set to be executed at 10 a.m.
Donald Eugene Harding broke Arizona's 29-year execution hiatus, becoming patient zero in the modern death penalty era. A spree killer with 7 murders across California, Arizona, and Texas, Harding was sentenced to die for killing businessmen Robert Wise and Martin Concanon in a Tucson hotel room. His final meal? Classic American breakfast fare, several fried eggs, strips of crispy bacon, toast slathered with butter and honey, and orange juice to wash it all down. Simple pleasures before the ultimate punishment. His death was anything but simple. Witnesses described Harding's 10.5-minute gas chamber execution as horrific, his face turning purple, his body thrashing against the restraints, gasping for 20 minutes. The disturbing scene sparked such public outcry that Arizona voters moved to replace the gas chamber with lethal injection that same year. James Dean Clark. Executed April 14, 1993. Lethal injection. Clark became the first Arizona inmate to die by lethal injection just a year after Harding's controversial gas chamber execution. Convicted of the 1977 robbery and murder of Charles Thumb, Clark selected an indulgent final meal: porterhouse steak, medium rare, 2 pounds of large shrimp with sauce, A1 steak sauce, baked potato with sour cream, coleslaw, banana cream pie, rice pudding with raisins, dinner rolls with butter, and a strawberry milkshake. His last words were reportedly brief expressions of remorse and acceptance. Jimmy Wayne Jeffers. Executed September 13, 1995. Lethal injection.
Case.
Well, the execution date is fast approaching.
Jeffers was put to death for the 1976 murder of Penelope Cheney, whom he injected with a lethal dose of heroin. Records of his final meal aren't widely published, but accounts suggest he ate sparingly in his final hours. His last words included an apology to the victim's family and expressions of religious faith. Randy Greenewald. Executed January 23, 1997, lethal injection. Greenewald was convicted for his role in the 1978 Tyson gang prison break and subsequent murders of John and Donelda Lyons, their infant son Christopher, and Donelda's niece Teresa Tyson. During the escape, Greenewald and Gary Tyson's sons broke Tyson and Greenewald out of prison, leading to a killing spree. His final meal consisted of fried chicken, French fries, and ice cream, comfort food before his appointment with death. William Worotzek. Executed June 25, 1997, lethal injection.
Happening now, a convicted killer is scheduled to be put to death just hours from now.
Worotzek was executed for the 1980 murder of Linda Leslie in Pinal County. His final feast was truly extravagant: a 16-ounce top sirloin steak, medium rare, French fries,
onion rings, a dozen deep-fried butterfly shrimp, a whole cherry cheesecake, a case of Pepsi-Cola, and a pot of coffee. In his final statement, Worotzek maintained his innocence until the end. Jose Jesus Seja. Executed January 21, 1998, lethal injection. Seja was executed for the 1974 murders of Linda and Randy Leon. Only 18 at the time of the killings, Seja spent nearly half his life on death row. His final meal included Mexican food, reportedly enchiladas and tacos with sides. His last words expressed remorse and a hope for forgiveness. Jose Roberto Villafuerte. Executed April 22, 1998. Lethal injection. Mexican national Villafuerte was put to death for the 1983 murder of Amelia Chauville. His case gained international attention due to claims that Arizona violated the Vienna Convention by not informing the Mexican consulate of his arrest. His last meal consisted of steak, eggs, toast, and coffee. In his final statement, he apologized to the victim's family in both English and Spanish. Arthur Martin Ross, executed April 29, 1998, lethal injection. Ross was convicted of the 1980 murder of James Rubel during a home invasion. For his final meal, Ross requested 3 grilled cheese and fried egg sandwiches, macaroni and cheese lots, a pint of mint chocolate chip ice cream, and 2 cans of Pepsi. His last words reportedly included expressions of remorse and religious references. Douglas Edward Gretzler, executed June 3, 1998, lethal injection. Gretzler, along with partner Willie Steelman, was responsible for at least 17 murders across Arizona and California in the 1970s. He was executed for the 1973 murders of Michael and Patricia Sandberg in Tucson. His final meal was simple: 6 fried eggs, over easy, 4 strips of bacon, chewy, 2 slices of white bread toast, buttered, a cup of real coffee, and 2 classic Cokes over ice. Jose Ernesto Villafuerte, executed August 19, 1998, lethal injection. Not to be confused with Jose Roberto Villafuerte, executed earlier the same year. Jose Ernesto Villafuerte was convicted for the 1983 strangulation murder of Amelia Chauville. His last meal remains unreported in public records, but witnesses noted he appeared calm during the execution procedure. Arthur Bishop Haig, executed January 19, 1999, lethal injection. Haig was sentenced to death for killing Cynthia Gale Ferguson in 1981. His final meal request included steak, fried potatoes, and ice cream. During his final statement, Haig apologized to the victim's family and thanked his legal team. Carl Legrand, executed February 24, 1999, lethal injection. German national Karl Legrand was executed for his role in the 1982 murder of bank manager Kenneth Hartsock during a botched robbery. His brother Walter would follow him to the death chamber just days later. His final meal consisted of fried chicken, French fries, and ice cream. In his last statement, Legrand apologized to the victim's family and his own family for the pain he had caused. Walter Legrand, executed March 3, 1999, gas chamber. Walter Legrand, also a German citizen, made a shocking choice that would create an international incident. Unlike his brother Karl, who was executed days earlier, Walter chose the gas chamber over lethal injection, becoming the last person in Arizona to die this way. His final meal remains unreported in public records. As the cyanide tablets dropped into the acid beneath his chair, Legrand reportedly mouthed the words, "I love you," to his witnesses before the gas took him. Germany sued the United States in the International Court of Justice over the brothers' executions, claiming violation of consular notification rights. Michael Kent, Poland, executed June 16, 1999, lethal injection. Poland and his brother Patrick were convicted of the 1977 murders of armored car guards Cecil Newkirk and Russell Dempsey near Prescott, Arizona. The guards were bound, weighted down, and thrown alive into Lake Mead. For his final meal, Poland requested items that reminded him of childhood comforts. His last words included expressions of remorse and religious references. Ignacio Ortiz, executed October 27, 1999, lethal injection. Ortiz was convicted of the 1978 murder of Manuelita McCormick during a home invasion. For his last meal, Ortiz requested 2 fried eggs, hot sauce, bacon, sirloin steak, French fries, ketchup, vanilla ice cream, milk, and hot coffee. His final words were directed to family members watching the execution. Anthony Lee Cheney, executed February 16, 2000, lethal injection. Cheney was put to death for the 1982 rape and murder of Jenny Reynolds in Pima County. His final meal was relatively simple: 2 eggs over easy, 4 slices of bacon, coffee, a pint of vanilla ice cream, a can of peaches, and strawberry jam. His last statement reportedly included apologies to the victim's family and his own family. Patrick Jean Poland, executed March 15, 2000, lethal injection, the second Poland brother to be executed for the 1977 murders of armored car guards Cecil Newkirk and Russell Dempsey. Like his brother before him, Poland requested comfort foods for his final meal. His last words expressed acceptance of his fate and religious conviction. Donald J. Miller, executed November 8, 2000, lethal injection. Miller was convicted of the 1989 murder of 18-year-old Jennifer Guder. For his final meal, Miller chose a Mexican-themed spread, 2 guacamole tostadas, 2 tacos, a strawberry malt, Dr. Pepper, lemon meringue pie, 5 whole jalapenos, a lemon, a lime, and a quart of strawberry ice cream. His final words included expressions of remorse and religious references. Robert Wayne Vickers, executed May 5, 1999, lethal injection. Nicknamed Bonsai Bob, Vickers was already on death row for murder when he killed another inmate, Frank Ponciano, in 1982. While on death row, he later killed a second inmate, Buster Holsinger, who was also a condemned prisoner. His final meal request was not widely reported. During his last statement, Vickers reportedly showed no remorse. Robert Charles Comer, executed May 22, 2007, lethal injection.
More executions in Arizona have been put on hold for now.
After a nearly 7-year hiatus in Arizona executions, Comer became the first inmate executed since 2000. Convicted of the 1987 murder of Larry Pritchard at a campground, Comer also kidnapped and repeatedly raped a female camper. What made Comer's case unusual was his fight to be executed, as he voluntarily gave up his appeals. His final meal included fried okra, catfish, and ice cream. Jeffrey Timothy Landrigan, executed October 26, 2010, lethal injection.
This execution set off a round of criticism on both sides of the death penalty debate.
There was some hold-up. The execution of Jeffrey Landrigan was put on hold yesterday morning.
After another lengthy gap in executions, Landrigan was put to death for the 1989 murder of Chester Dean Dyer in Phoenix. His case gained attention due to a last-minute stay over concerns about the lethal injection drugs Arizona had obtained.
That's right. There were several witnesses to the execution, and they described some of the last moments of Jeffrey Landrigan's life.
For his final meal, Landrigan requested steak, fried okra, French fries, strawberry ice cream, and Dr. Pepper. His unusual last words were, "Well, I'd like to say thank you to my family for being here and all my friends, and Boomer Sooner." Boomer Sooner is the fight song for the University of Oklahoma. Landrigan, an Oklahoma native, was showing his college football allegiance to the very end. When the execution chamber curtains were opened, he gestured in recognition to his witnesses through the window. Eric John King, executed March 29, 2011, lethal injection. King was convicted of the 1989 murders of security guard Richard Butts and clerk Ron Barman during a convenience store robbery in Phoenix. His final meal featured fried catfish, collard greens, candied yams, cornbread, chocolate cake with chocolate frosting, a whole tomato, a medium-sized pink grapefruit, and 2 bottles of creme soda. His last words expressed love for his family and forgiveness. Donald Edward Beatty, executed May 25, 2011, lethal injection. Beatty was put to death for the 1984 rape and murder of 13-year-old Christy Ann Fornoff, who was collecting newspaper subscription payments at his apartment complex. For his last meal, Beatty requested a chimichanga with salsa, sour cream and guacamole, a double cheeseburger with all the fixings, French fries and Rocky Road ice cream with Diet Pepsi. His final statement came with visible emotion as he lay on the death gurney. His lips quivering, he said directly to the victim's family, I'm sorry. God will let you see her again." When the lethal drugs were injected, Beatty almost immediately appeared to go to sleep, letting out a large yawn before becoming still. Richard Lynn Bible. Executed June 30th, 2011, lethal injection. Bible was convicted of the 1988 kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder of 9-year-old Jennifer Wilson in Flagstaff. His final meal request was not widely reported. In his last words, Bible maintained his innocence, telling witnesses, "I pray that one day the real truth will come out." Thomas Paul West. Executed July 19th, 2011, lethal injection. West was convicted of the 1987 murder of Donald Bortle during a burglary in Tucson. West declined a final meal entirely, refusing the traditional Last Supper offered to all condemned prisoners. He also chose not to give any verbal last words before his execution. Instead, he communicated with prearranged hand signals to his attorneys, nodding purposefully twice and flashing them a peace sign. He then closed his eyes as the prison warden read the execution warrant and never opened them again. Lethal chemicals were administered at 11:01 a.m. and he was pronounced dead 9 minutes later. Robert Henry Moorman. Executed February 29th, 2012. Lethal injection. Moorman committed one of Arizona's most shocking crimes, murdering and dismembering his adoptive mother while on a prison furlough from a kidnapping sentence in 1984. His final meal consisted of a double hamburger, French fries, 2 beef burritos, 2 14-ounce containers of Rocky Road ice cream, and 3 RC colas. In his final statement, Moorman looked around the room at the witnesses, and his exact last words were, "I hope this will bring closure and start the healing now, and I hope they will forgive me in time." Witnesses reported he died with his eyes open and a smile on his face. Robert Charles Towery. Executed March 8, 2012, lethal injection. Towery was put to death for the 1991 murder of Mark Jones during a home invasion robbery. For his last meal, Towery requested a porterhouse steak, baked potato with sour cream and butter, steamed asparagus, mushrooms, clam chowder, milk, and apple pie with vanilla ice cream. His last words included a tearful apology. "I would like to apologize to Mark's family and friends for what I did to them. I would like to apologize to my family. So many times in my life I went left when I should have gone right, and I went right when I should have gone left. It was mistake after mistake after mistake." As he began to cry, looking at his sister, nephew, and friend in the witness room, he concluded with the mysterious phrase, "I love my family, potato, potato, potato." This was reportedly a private message to his motorcycle-loving nephew, meaning everything was okay, referencing the sound of an idling Harley-Davidson motorcycle. Thomas Arnold Kemp. Executed April 25, 2012, lethal injection. Kemp was executed for the 1992 kidnapping and murder of Hector Juarez, a Tucson college student. His last meal request included a bacon cheeseburger, French fries, root beer, and boysenberry pie with strawberry ice cream. Unlike many who express remorse, Kemp remained defiant to the end. His exact final words as he lay strapped to the execution table were simply, "I regret nothing." After delivering this statement, he nodded and smiled at his attorney, then looked at the ceiling and calmly waited. As the drugs took effect, witnesses reported his body visibly shook for several seconds before he fell still. Samuel Villegas Lopez. Executed June 27, 2012, lethal injection. Lopez was convicted of the 1986 rape, robbery, and murder of 59-year-old Estefana Holmes in Phoenix. For his final meal, Lopez requested 1 red and 1 green chili burrito, Spanish rice, jalapeno, avocado, cottage cheese, French fries, vanilla ice cream, and pineapple. When given the opportunity for last words, Lopez chose silence. He had no final statement to make before his execution. The lethal procedure began at 10:08 a.m. and he was pronounced dead at 10:37 a.m. This execution marked Arizona's first that allowed witnesses to watch prison officials inject the lethal drugs into a prisoner, a change resulting from previous litigation over execution procedures. Daniel Wayne Cook, executed August 8, 2012, lethal injection. Cook was put to death for the 1987 torture and murders of Kevin Swaney and Carlos Cruz Ramos in Lake Havasu City. His final meal reflected vegetarian preferences: eggplant lasagna, garlic cheese mashed potatoes, roasted Brussels sprouts, broiled asparagus, ice cream, and root beer. Before his execution, Cook issued an apology to the victims' families and his own family. According to witnesses, he appeared remorseful in his final statement. Cook, who had been severely abused as a child, was executed exactly 24 years to the day after he was sentenced to death in 1988. Richard Dale Stockley, executed December 5, 2012, lethal injection. Stockley was executed for the 1991 kidnapping, rape, and murder of 13-year-old Mandy Myers and 13-year-old Mary Snyder in Cochise County. For his final meal, Stockley chose porterhouse steak, French fries, okra, cauliflower salad, fruit, and ice cream. During the procedure to set his IV lines, witnesses watching on closed-circuit TV reported hearing Stockley joke with the execution team. At one point, he was heard saying, "I do wish I could die doing something meaningful. You know, this seems such a waste." However, when the curtain from the execution chamber opened at 10:52 a.m., Stockley offered no last words and did not even look in the direction of the witnesses. Edward Harold Shadd, Jr., executed October 9, 2013, lethal injection. Shadd was put to death for the 1978 murder of 74-year-old Lorimer Grove, whose body was found strangled by the side of a road. For his last meal, Shadd requested a meatball sandwich, French fries, corn on the cob, cranberry sauce, apple pie, and a vanilla shake. In his final statement, Shadd expressed remorse and thanked his legal team and the prison staff. Robert Glenn Jones, Jr., executed October 23, 2013, lethal injection. Jones was convicted of the 1996 murders of 6 people during robberies of the Moon's Smoke Shop and the Firefighters Union Hall in Tucson. His final meal request included a cheeseburger, fries, and root beer. Jones declined to make a final statement. Joseph Rudolph Wood III, executed July 23, 2014, lethal injection. Wood's execution became one of the most controversial in American history. Convicted of murdering his ex-girlfriend Deborah Dietz and her father Eugene in 1989, Wood's execution on July 23, 2014 became a national scandal. His final meal request was modest, just 2 cookies, a small comfort before what became a 2-hour ordeal. After receiving the lethal drugs, Wood gasped and snorted for 1 hour and 57 minutes before finally succumbing. Witnesses described him as gasping like a fish out of water. Wood's exact final words were directed to the victim's family. "I take comfort knowing today my pain stops, and I said a prayer that someday your pain will stop also." His botched execution led to an 8-year moratorium on executions in Arizona. Clarence Wayne Dixon, executed May 11, 2022, lethal injection.
For the first time in 8 years, the state of Arizona has executed an inmate, convicted killer Clarence Dixon.
After Wood's nightmare execution, Arizona paused lethal injections until May 11, 2022, when Clarence Dixon became the first to die after the moratorium. Blind and in declining health, Dixon was executed for the 1978 rape and murder of college student Deanna Beaudoin. His final meal showed simple tastes: Kentucky Fried Chicken, strawberry ice cream, and a bottle of water. The execution itself proved problematic. Medical teams struggled for 25 minutes to set IV lines in his arms before cutting into his groin to access a femoral vein, a procedure that left a fair amount of blood to be cleaned up. Dixon maintained his innocence until the end. His exact final words were, "I do and always will maintain my innocence. Now I'm ready to die. They should have killed me back in 1978. Frank Jarvis Atwood, executed June 8, 2022, lethal injection. Atwood was put to death for the 1984 kidnapping and murder of 8-year-old Vicki Lynn Hoskinson in Pima County. Atwood's case gained attention due to concerns about his medical condition and pain he might experience during execution due to a degenerative spinal condition. For his final meal, Atwood requested a selection of vegan foods. His last words reportedly included religious references and declarations of innocence. Murray Hooper, executed November 16, 2022, lethal injection.
Arizona has set an execution date for 76-year-old Murray Hooper.
76-year-old Murray Hooper became the 41st person executed in Arizona as of May 2025. Convicted of the 1980 New Year's Eve murders of Patrick Redmond and his mother-in-law Helen Phelps during a home invasion, Hooper spent 42 years on death row. His last meal remains unpublished in public records. After the execution warrant was read, his final words were exact and stoic. "It's all been said. Let it be done." Then, addressing his attorneys, friends, and family, "Don't cry for me. Don't be sad." In his final moments, he turned to look at about 30 witnesses watching the procedure, made eye contact, smiled broadly, and waved. Aaron Brian Gunches, executed March 19, 2025, lethal injection.
We've got a Fox 10 News alert. The Arizona Supreme Court has ruled that the execution of Aaron Gunches,
the most recent person to be executed in Arizona, Gunches was put to death for the 2002 murder of Ted Price. His case gained attention when he initially asked to be executed, but later withdrew the request. Despite this, litigation from County Attorney Rachel Mitchell resulted in his execution moving forward. Details of his final meal and last words are not yet widely documented in historical accounts, as his execution occurred recently. From Harding to Gunches, 41 men met their fate in Arizona's death chamber. Each brought their own history, their own crimes, their own final moments. Some found religion, others maintained innocence, a few expressed genuine remorse. Their final meals and last words offer glimpses into their humanity, whether choosing childhood comfort foods, elaborate feasts, or simple fare. Some spoke volumes in their final moments, others chose the dignity of silence. Arizona's death row still holds over 100 inmates as of May 2025. The machinery of death, though temporarily quiet, stands ready to resume its grim work when called upon again. For the 41 already gone, their stories, from crimes to final breaths, remain as testament to both the darkest human impulses and society's most severe response.